Old school Fortnite. A game that holds many memories for many people. For some, it was camping out in bushes like a Vietnamese soldier. For others, it was making sure they didn't fully break trees. And for all of us, yes, me and you, it was turning around the Sunstrider skin for the first time.
It gave me a rock-hard cut.
I miss those days. Unfortunately, time did that one really annoying thing it likes to do, called moving forward. And soon, it would become 4 years since players experienced the glory of OG Fortnite. With the only thing to soothe their insatiable hunger for this long-gone game being OG locations occasionally returning, PC-exclusive servers of old seasons that may or may not host enough malware to make your computer start speaking Russian, and last but not least, buggy creative maps with missing locations. So, it would be to everybody's surprise when after 4 long years, in November of 2023, Epic Games would announce that for 1 month, we'd be going home. For real this time. Unsurprisingly, the hype was everywhere. Millions of players who had tossed Fortnite aside long ago came back to both reminisce on the old memories and to create new ones. This OG season would consistently keep a player count above 3 million and even reach 11 million for the season's end event. This 1 month OG season seemed to prove to everybody that people didn't just miss OG Fortnite because they missed how life used to be, but because they missed a Fortnite with simpler gameplay and items. So if bringing back OG Fortnite seemed to be so successful back in 2023, then why, just over a year later, has Fortnite's new, permanent OG game mode been such a flop? Reaching a consistent player count that's about a whole 100 times smaller than the Fortnite OG season was able to bring in just the year before. So, what happened? Did the hype train for OG Fortnite simply fade away? Is this OG game mode not close enough to the original Chapter 1 Fortnite? Or is OG Fortnite just overhyped by nostalgia in comparison to current Fortnite? To answer why this current Fortnite OG mode is struggling so much, we need to go back and see what made the OG season back in 2023 so special.
Another day, another victory for the OG, taking down the sweats, the imposters.
Now, I'm gonna need you to hear me out for a second. The Fortnite OG season from 2023 was kinda dog shit. From an objective standpoint. Under all the hype and the great memories that people have of this 1 month return to Fortnite simplicity, the season itself is in reality a very poor recreation of actual OG Fortnite. It suffers from numerous flaws, like the use of the incorrect Chapter 2 gun models, even though they used the right ones for the promotional art, the wrong storm graphics, a lack of fog that originally gave this map much of its atmosphere, the removal and replacement of many iconic buildings, and the overall inaccurate lighting and graphics. There's a ton more mistakes I could list, but these are just the most glaring. Now, people were able to ignore these flaws and eat up this OG slop so easily for a few reasons. One, people were just hyped to play the OG map again for the first time in 4 years, in a way that didn't use your PC to mine Bitcoin, or was a creative map missing a battle bus. And two, this season was only a 1 month thing. Do you think people were gonna waste what might be their only opportunity to play the OG map again to complain about Trump Tower being removed? No. They're just gonna be grateful that they can at least drop at Tilted Towers again, and not some shit like Salty Towers. Now, let me be clear. This season wasn't just carried by nostalgia and FOMO. The gameplay, which is the most important thing, was still pretty good. This season served as a nice break from the overclutteredness of current Fortnite, and a return to simplicity. Yeah, bots were still there, but you had enough movement to go around and find actual players to fight. Like I said earlier in the video, this OG season proved that people didn't just miss 2018 Fortnite because they missed that old period of their life, but that a game as great as 2018 Fortnite was what helped create that old period of life. And this OG season, despite its apparent flaws, was fun enough to somewhat recreate that period once again, if only for just a lingering moment. Unfortunately, this season also seemed to prove to Epic that they didn't really need to put that much elbow grease in order to make OG Fortnite appealing to the masses.
Got to say, in all honesty, it's the biggest piece of dog shit.
Now, let's fast forward a bit. It's November 2024, and everyone is having a good time playing on the Chapter 2 map again, with famous music celebrities like Snoop Dogg, Eminem, and Midas's Persona. Just then, suddenly, out of the blue, Epic Games would officially announce on their Twitter that not only would OG Chapter 1 Fortnite be returning, but it would be here to stay as a permanent game mode. Seasons rotating monthly, old weapon models, old loot pool, and double pump returning?
The double pump shotgun can lick the fucking nastiest, most disgusting asshole.
Man, I used to pray for times like this. Normal Battle Royale? Why would anybody touch that nasty, collab-ridden game mode when we could all just play Prime Fortnite forever? Come December 6th, then the masses would get their grubby little hands on this permanent OG game mode, with it releasing to a player count of 1.6 million. Wow, that's really good actually. Yeah, this didn't last for more than one day. Now, it's not surprising this game mode brought in less players. Epic had already done this stunt before, and there wasn't any FOMO to go with it this time. But still, a fall off of this proportion? Yeah, there was something deeper behind this. Well, for starters, like the OG season before, this game mode suffered from many mistakes, like the strange lack of bushes, some weapons still having newer Chapter 2 models and icons, the newer Chapter 5 system of healing, the new Chapter 5 HUD, a new purple and gold burst AR rarity and supply drops that never existed, the lack of a purple tack, some weapon stats just being wrong, the use of the newer movement system that causes your character to walk like he has a stick up his ass, and lastly, the graphics were still off. Some of these flaws have been fixed, but many still remain to this very day. Now, these inaccuracies on their own don't really mean that much, but when added up, especially the big ones, this game mode starts to feel like a creative map. Actually, never mind, because by this time, the fan-made creative maps that were made purely out of passion looked almost identical to actual OG Fortnite, and easily outclassed this game mode, made officially by Epic Games. Now, while these inaccuracies definitely bring this game mode down, and the game mode would be better without them, they're more like a nice cherry on top of this game mode's biggest flaw. For its very first day, this game mode launched both without bots or any skill-based matchmaking. Well, wait, that's a good thing, right? That's just like actual OG Fortnite, where every enemy you fight is going to be an actual living human being. Well, two things. One, it's easy to forget that one of OG Fortnite's biggest demographics are casual players, who likely haven't played Fortnite in a while because they were turned off by the current state of the game.
This John Pork.
And two, Fortnite has a massive skill gap, specifically when playing builds. To put it in perspective how crazy this skill gap is, you could have a pretty good, retired pro player 1v1 build battle one of the best players in the world 100 times, and not win once. Now, what made these really bad circumstances even worse was the lack of a ranked mode on launch. Meaning that not only was there no SBMM to filter sweats out of casual lobbies, there was also zero ranked mode for them to go play instead. This combination of terrible factors unsurprisingly led to a not so great launch, with many people's very first impressions of this game mode not being of old memories, but instead getting full boxed by a player with 2020 in their username. All across social media, people would label this game mode as being too sweaty and designed for the unemployed, begging for SBMM and bots to once again separate employed and unemployed lobbies. The OG map belongs to the OGs, not these sweats. Their wish would come quickly, and bots with SBMM would be introduced just a day after launch. But the damage was already done, and many people's impressions of this game mode were already ruined. And as it turns out, adding bots into this game mode would only bring in a new host of problems. Unlike Season OG back in 2023 that started with Chapter 1 Season 5, this OG game mode would start all the way back at this game's infancy. Chapter 1 Season 1. Old Fortnite is, to put it simply, pretty simple. And Chapter 1 Season 1 is about as simple as OG Fortnite simplicity gets. At this time, there were only the most basic items in the game. No need to wait to drink your big pot until you find minis, cause there were no minis. There was also nearly zero mobility, which only made exploring this barren map with barely any locations that much more enjoyable. This extreme simplicity of Chapter 1 Season 1 was already a turnoff for many, who were used to the usual dopamine rush of current Fortnite. But what makes this simplicity of old Fortnite so enjoyable to many, like myself, is that these long moments of wandering and looting in silence are filled with tension. You know that at any moment, this silence could be broken as you run into a player, or start to get sniped at from out of nowhere, possibly losing all that time you've just spent looting and running around. There might not be as many gunfights in OG Fortnite in comparison to current Fortnite, but the fights that do happen are more intense, more meaningful. What makes this whole system work and allows for tension to properly build up and fights to be meaningful is the fact that everyone you fight is also a real human player that is also fiending for that victory royale. Now, when you decide to replace some of these real players and add bots into this mix, all of a sudden this whole system falls apart. Instead of having your minutes of wandering interrupted by another player, it's interrupted by a lame gunfight against a bunch of ones and zeros. And unlike how fast-paced current Fortnite is, this version of the game lacks any mobility that would allow you to fly around and find fights quicker. So now you're forced to spend minutes wandering in your solitude, just without any of the tension that existed before. This influx of bots would cause many to turn on this game mode once again. Instead of being too sweaty, now this game mode was too boring. And people didn't want to play this boring game mode when a brand new chapter of Fortnite just came out. This would only cause OG Fortnite to bleed more and more players. And when there's less and less people playing a game mode, what does Epic have to do? Add more and more bots. It got so bad, in fact, that during Fortnite OG Season 3, Epic would update the game mode to allow up to 92 bots in some matches. That means there were some matches that had double the amount of locations than the amount of actual living, breathing players. This addition of more and more bots only makes this game mode less and less appealing to players who want to come back and give it another try. This whole problem is like a paradox. Bots seemingly can't be removed from OG Fortnite because the game mode would become too sweaty. But bots can't really stay either, or at least at the amount they're at now, because they only cause the game mode to become boring, which in turn causes people to leave, which means more bots have to be added, which turns people away from coming back less and less. This paradox is the ultimate problem of OG Fortnite. This issue didn't really exist with the OG season in 2023, because 1, oh my god, OG Fortnite's actually back, I don't care about anything, just get me in. 2, it never had a ridiculous amount of bots, and 3, it started out with a season which already had plenty of movement, meaning if you fought a bot, you were never too far away from another fight that might actually be rewarding. Now, before I end it off, there's just one more issue with this game mode I wanted to briefly go over, and that's the storm. I'm sure all of us who have played 2018 Fortnite has a core memory of trying to escape the hood life of constantly dropping tilted So you drop somewhere low-key, like Snobby Shores or Haunted Hills, only to realize the storm circle was located a whole time zone away in Wailing Woods. As frustrating as this sometimes was, it added to the OG experience. The storm was as much of a threat as an enemy player, and this aggressive storm would create situations like waiting right outside of the circle to pick off stragglers, or searching chests deep in storm praying you find a medkit. With the OG game mode, we actually got the return of this amazing storm system. For a little bit. Just like all great things like the original Kinder Surprise eggs or child labor, people started complaining, saying this OG storm was too harsh. So Epic decided to remove it and replace it with a Chapter 6 storm instead, which is far less aggressive and has bigger storm circles. This of course removes any of the unique situations the storm used to create, and more importantly, this makes an already slow-paced game mode even slower and even more boring. So, when you add together this game mode's problems, it's really no surprise that its player counts are such a limp noodle. Now, is bringing back OG Fortnite, a game that many have already played once or even twice now, a bit less surprising and less intriguing than a current Fortnite with new and original updates? Of course. I mean, we've seen Tilted return like, 20 times now? It's hard to get the hype boner up anymore. But I wouldn't say that this game mode having to compete with current Fortnite fully explains its failure. In my opinion, this game mode didn't fail because OG Fortnite is overhyped by nostalgia, but because of its flaws, stopping this game mode from successfully recreating an OG Fortnite experience. The future of this game mode is uncertain, but it seems like Epic is trying to move in the right direction. They're correcting this game mode's mistakes, fixing up the storm, and most importantly, they might be removing bots from current Fortnite OG and making bots exclusive to a Fortnite OG casual mode, which if done right could bring many players back, but could also risk dividing the already small player base even further. There could definitely be a resurgence in players, especially with later seasons coming around that introduce more movement, and fan-favorite seasons like Seasons 6, 7, 8, and 9, that haven't really properly returned since 2018. But only time will tell if any of this is enough to actually revive this game mode, or just give it a short burst of life. But what do you think? Is OG Fortnite just overhyped by nostalgia, and just can't compete in comparison to current Fortnite? Let me know down below. That's all for today. Thanks for making it this far into the video. Peace.